Hi, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. Good evening, everyone. From Nigeria, we're saying good evening. Wow, it's been so exciting. So exciting since we started this class. And it's been so amazing. So I officially want to welcome everyone. So if you know you are excited, I want to see your comments. If you are happy and excited to be here this evening, please put your comments in the comment section. I want to see your comments. Like, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. I want to see all your comments. I want to see your emojis. I want to see your fire emojis. I want to see your love emojis because sincerely, it's been really amazing. And we are grateful to God for his strength, his mercies, and everything. So come on. Come on. If you know you're happy to be here, let me see your woo. I'm seeing some fire emojis. Amazing. Precious Adeyemo. That's amazing. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes, yes, yes. I'm seeing immaculate. I'm happy to be here. Wow, so glad to have you. Yes, I'm seeing greatness. So excited. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm still expecting more comments. Wow. Okay. So we had a really amazing Zoom class yesterday. The teachings were, in fact, it was heaven on earth. And we had the opportunity of, having few of us from the class. I think we had about 2 speakers or 3 speakers and all that. But I have to really commend David King. Like, he dropped some really, some really insightful things about worship. And it shows that he has been paying attention to the class. Okay. And I must tell you that if you pay full attention to this class, your life will not remain the same again. Trust me. Okay. I still have some comment coming up. Okay, Francis. Yes, some dance emoji. Francis, I see you. I'm so happy to have every one of us here tonight. Okay, so going straight to the topic of today. But before we go deep into that, please can we have somebody pray for us as we start? Can we have someone pray for us? Okay, someone is connecting. Yoma. Yeah. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, Yoma, we can't hear you.
Okay.
Hi. Hi, Yoma.
Hi.
Good to have you.
Good evening. I didn't know that I will be made to talk.
Oh, okay, so just pray for us. A short prayer, please.
Prayer. Okay, no problem. Father, thank you for today.
Thank you, Lord.
I want to go to a place quiet. I'm sorry. Father, thank you for today. We bless you. We give you praise. Thank you for a very beautiful time we've been having since the onset of this worship school. Father, we thank you. Even as about to start, Holy Spirit, help us quick understanding and let our hearts be open to receive. And help us to do. Please enable the speakers to speak rightly deep into our hearts. And so testimonies, much more testimony. Amen.
Wow, thank you so much, Yoma. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we are all welcome to the class tonight. And trust me, tonight will be very, very interesting. Please don't go anywhere. Invite your friends. Invite everyone to come tonight because tonight You will learn a lot, and we'll be having a very big guest tonight, and we cannot wait to hear from him. But before we do that, I'll just talk a little about the secret place. Now, as a worshiper, you cannot, I mean, you cannot succeed in your ministry without having a secret place. And when I say a secret place, I mean a secret place with God, a secret place with the Most High. Okay? Now, it's a place where you go in and you totally surrender your heart to God. Like, Lord, I'm here and I come as I am. Okay? In my weakness, in my pain, in my sorrow, even when, as in, it's not going well. Okay? Lord, I come as I am. So it is a place of his presence. Okay, it's a place where you communicate with God one-on-one, and he directs you on what to do next. And he tells you what to do next that will help your ministry. Please, if you know that you are a worshiper, do not neglect the place, the secret place. Do not neglect it, because you cannot succeed without a secret place. Okay. Now, in the secret place, okay, it's a place where we listen to God. You go with the heart of, Lord, I am here to listen to you. Go with listening ears, go with open hearts, and he will talk to you. Always go with the mind to listen, not just to talk to him. Like, okay, Father, I'm having a program, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then after everything, you just leave. No. Always go with the heart to listen, because it is right there that instructions are given on what to do and what not to do. Trust me, what not to do. He will lead you, he will guide you, he will show you steps on what to do and what not to do, who to meet and who not to meet. Yes, that's the truth. Because in this world, or even in this industry, there are wolves among sheep, I must tell you. Okay, so, but it's in this secret place that the Lord will instruct you in the way that you should go. Okay, then after that, you must have radical obedience in the secret place. You must be ready to be obedient. Okay, after listening, you must be ready to be obedient. When he tells you go, you go. When he tells you be patient, I'm still working with you. Please be patient, worshippers. And if he says, okay, do this before this and all that, make sure you are obedient. Make sure you are obedient. Obedience matters in the secret place. Obedience matters in the secret place. Please don't be in a hurry to blow. Don't be in a hurry to, I need the word to hear me. The word has to hear me. This gift inside of me. The word must hear it without direction. When you run fast, run up fast. Oh, trust me, you will run down. In fact, you will run down faster. Okay, so now let's check the life of like the man that has been in this industry. Okay, like what do we mention? Minister Dunsin, okay, for instance, the Minister Dunsin, Pastor Nathaniel, these people have their stories. Like there were times that they were asked to just stay there and not do anything. Like, and then also there were times that God will tell them, you can't do anything, just stay here for even up to a year. Like if we hear their stories, they had solid stay in the secret place before anything could happen. And that is the reason why they are still relevant till today. They are still relevant till today. Oh, we have beautiful singers in this ministry. We have so many singers. We have so many beautiful singers and all that. But trust me, if you want to succeed, you must have a secret place. You must always listen. And you must be obedient. When God says, wait, it's not your time, stay there and keep learning. Keep learning, dwell in the word. The word of God is very important when it comes to this ministry. You cannot thrive without the word of God. You need the word of God so that when you open your mouth and you speak, okay, you speak life. You speak in authority. You know what you are saying. And then even the congregation will know that, oh, this person knows what he's saying. So you need the word of God. You need to be full of the word of God. You need to be so full of the word of God. Okay, I'll just help a few people that might be having issues with, the word. Now, some people, they find it hard. They'll say, this thing is hard though for me to read my Bible. I cannot stay and read my Bible. Now, do this. Just even if it's like, yeah, okay. So even if it's like 2 verses a day for those that want to start, okay, starters now. 2 verses or 2 chapters a day. Just start from there. With time, you will begin to get some promptings, okay, from the Holy Spirit on where He wants you to read a particular day. Okay, from there, you begin to have some promptings of, okay, you just open the Bible now. And then just get, okay, open to Isaiah chapter these verses. With time, okay? So I just hope that I have spoken to someone. Okay. So now we're going to bring in our guests. We're going to bring our guests on board. Please get your writing materials down. We are so excited. Can't wait to have him. So I'll do a little introduction. JayMera Ma is a Nigerian living in Ghana, West Africa. He is a Christian rock fusion artist, and he currently works as a drummer with the American international gospel artist, Micah Stampley. He is a director, he's a music producer, and a drummer. So let's welcome JayMera. So bring in your emoji if you know that you're happy to receive our guest. Please let me see some fire emojis in the comments. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Some fire emojis. Woo! I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay, so JayMera, we can have you off stage now. JayMera. JayMera, our guest for today, JayMera. Wow.
What's up, everybody?
We are great.
How are we doing today? Anyway, so I got back from church today, like really late. I had a long service. I've been in church since like almost 6:30 a.m. I just got home like I think an hour ago. So I had to quickly get some rest and jump on this. But can everybody hear me? Am I audible? Okay, great. Okay. How are we? Are we good? Is everybody all right? Great. Okay. First off, let me thank Prevela and oh my gosh, Reggie, both of you. Thank you guys for asking me to do this. It means a lot. Okay. I don't know how to do public speaking or anything. I don't know. But it's all good. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for the chance to come in here and share with, everybody else and everybody else in the room right now. Thank you so much for having me. I know that Reggie sent me like a prospective list of things to talk about. So I'm not going to waste anybody's time. But I think that the smartest thing and the best thing to do is to start from where a prevailer started earlier. She talked about the secret place. I don't want to live there like, well, there too long. It's because there's lots of things to talk about progressively, or a secret place mode, a secret place mindset. You cannot succeed. You cannot. The Bible, it could have said, except the Lord builds the house, you cannot build the house. The Bible could have said that. It said, the labor in vain that build it. In other words, you're going to build it, but your work is going to be wasted. That means you're going to go through processes in building. You're going to do every necessary thing to build. But because you built it without the Lord's input, you're wasting your time. That means you're going to stress for nothing. So I still wonder why the Bible couldn't have said, except the Lord build a house, the house is not going to be built. No, it's trying to say that if you do not involve God in your matters, if you do not involve God in your process, you're going to go through that process in vain. You're going to go through the entire 9 yards, but you're going to suffer. You're not going to do it right. You're going to spend the exact same time, possibly even more time, but you're not going to get anything out of it. So I hope that this speaks to somebody right now, that there is no way you can do this music thing without the Lord. I have a mentor called Pastor Dr. Helen Baylor. She's a gospel artist. She used to be a jazz R&B artist, and she gave her life to Jesus. And then God moved her into like the music ministry, gospel. And she said something. She says that music, I've always worked with that definition for years. Like when I started playing drums, my father and my brothers introduced us to Helen Baylor music. And Helen Baylor says that music is God's voice. And I need us to know, I'm going somewhere with this because I'm going to connect it to everything we're saying. And I'm hopeful by God's grace that I don't waste your time, but at the same time, I get to tell you what you need to know. It says that music is God's voice, all right? So if music is God's voice, that means that music is not something to be played with. You cannot toy with music. You cannot treat music like your basic job or your basic education or your basic routine. No, music is God's voice. Now, let me explain what I think she meant by saying music is God's voice. Music is the only thing in the world that can get you to react without your permission. I hope somebody heard that. Right? Music is the only thing in God's green earth, and even outside of God's green earth, that can get you to react without your permission. All you need to do is infuse the message or the instruction in the music, and you're going to find people doing it without any waste of time, without any thought pattern. They're just going to go straight to it and they're going to do it, because that's how powerful music is. And now, when you're not just doing music, but you want to do sanctified music, the music that glorifies God, the music that points people to God. Now, listen, I've worked with mainstream artists, like what we call secular artists, okay? But the fact is this, gospel music is different. the time, the energy, the inspiration needed to make gospel music what it is intensive. All right? It's extremely intensive. Let me quickly say something before we jump in. I'm going to make these definitions for the sake of people who are new to this or who do not understand this or who have a general perception about this. Music in its plain form is pure. Pay attention. I may say this just once. Music in its plain form is pure. All right? The thing that determines the sanctity, the secularity, or the sinfulness of music is in the lyrics. Okay? So if you're writing lyrics to a piece of music that glorifies God, that points people to God, that tell people about the way of God, that introduces people to God, the music has become sanctified because you are now channeling that music by way of lyricism towards God. Now, if the music is dealing with everyday people, everyday situations like life, the hustle, the struggle, education, inspiration, encouragement, how to get people to not give up on their dreams or their goals, or just talking about plain straight how things are going in your life, it becomes secular music, because that's music, even though it has nothing to do with Jesus, it's still a positive pointer. I can make examples. We all know the song by R. Kelly, I Believe I Can Fly. The storm is over. Lean on Me by like the old greats. Oh Happy Day has Christian infusion because it talks about the fact that I'm having a happy day because Jesus washed my sins away. So yeah, that's a gospel song. But every time you see songs that talk about counting on me, like selling what Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, talking about songs like that have everything to do with inspiring people to be the best version of themselves. That's secular music. All right. Even though it has nothing to do with glorifying Jesus or bringing people into heaven and stuff, but it talks about making a better person out of you. That's secular music. Now, the third one, and the dangerous one, is when we have sinful music. Now, what determines that music becomes sinful is when the music is talking about sin and encouraging sin, or encouraging selfishness, or glorifying the devil. All right. Now, when you have music that is glorifying Satan, sin, and self, now you've got sinful music. So I've given you a list of 3 kinds of music that can change the perception. Okay, somebody might need to mute the microphones because it's jumping in, but that's okay. So, music that glorifies God, sanctified music. Music that deals with the daily grind, the daily hustle, and how to be a better person, secular music, or talking about things around you. Music that glorifies the devil or sin or self or bad habits and stuff, sinful music. Now you see the differences. But in this case, we've all decided to talk about sanctified music, right? Music that glorifies God. Now, the place in the Bible says that 2 people cannot walk together unless they agree. In other words, when it's time to do this, you're going to have a very strong, unified front. All right. Now, I know that some of you are praise and worship leaders. I know that some of you are backing vocals. Some of you are even musicians, and that's okay. All right. It's perfectly okay to be whatever you be in God's house. I'm a musical director in my church. I'm also a musical director for a lot of artists. I still work as a drummer and a producer for a lot of artists. Okay. Now, one thing I've learned is I have learned how to be a musical director even while I'm serving as just a member of a team. And I understand that one of the most important things you want to know, one of the most important things you want to have with you is the ability to work with a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's what everybody say, right? Teamwork makes the dream work. Now, in other words, if you cannot come together and work as a team, you cannot successfully create team output. All right. Now, in creating team output, you're going to have to know that there's a lot of things that come into play. I was given a list that I should talk about. So I'm going to talk about leading worship teams. I'm going to talk about recruiting and training worship teams and members. I talk about practice and rehearsals. You got to know like the differences between practice and rehearsal. It's not the same thing. Okay. And then the techniques and the best modules for this situation. So we're going to talk about team building and fostering unity. All right. Okay. So let me start with leading worship teams. I think where's that place? I think is it Second Chronicles or First Chronicles 7:14? One says, "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, seek my face." He said, "If my people are gathering." I mean, this is not to say that God cannot hear you when you pray alone, or God cannot hear you when you worship alone or praise alone. But God would rather that you work together. Because when you work together, it speeds up the process. Make God realize that, hey, guess what? These people are a unified front. All right? It makes God know that, hey, remember what happened with the Tower of Babel, right? He said, these people are one people. And because they're one people, nothing will be impossible. If God could say that, say, nothing will be impossible for these people. Why? Just because they came together. Just because they're locked in. Everybody knew what to do. They spoke the same language. They knew exactly what their duties were. They were definitely going to build that tower and it was going to reach heaven. Facts. Like, let's remove the spirituality out there. I'm talking about the sciences. Whenever experiments go together, things happen, right? And God knew that. God knew that program because he set that program together. That people can work together, things are going to happen. And then God decides, I'm going to confuse them by disrupting the way they communicate. See how important communication is. Now, for those of you who are praise and worship leaders or even artists, okay, one thing you need to know is that leading a group of people is one of the most difficult things to do. It is hard. It's tough to lead people. It's so tough to lead people because everybody comes into the same room with different perceptions, different mindsets, different approaches. Now, how to put all of them together to be able to lead them is usually crazy, all right? Like absolutely crazy. But the fact is, if you're going to do it, you have to do it. But you're going to have to know how to do it. First rules, make sure that everybody is of the same mind and everybody's going in the same direction. All right, so the goal is we want to bless God, right? We want to give glory to God and we want to help God's people to bless his name, to minister to him, to worship him, to come to a place where they can connect and communicate with him, right? That's what the plan is. So there is a worship leader and then there's backing vocals or there's a whole music team like a band, instrument players, singers, a mass choir, whatever. In fact, there's a whole church to lead. How do you lead them? Like I said, first thing, make sure that the goal is the same. Make sure that everybody is on the same route. Make sure that everybody is trying to see the same thing. Make sure that no two people are working two different ways. Everybody's on the same path. The goal is to lift the name of Jesus. The goal is to push people to long for God more. The goal is to bring everybody together so that we can have one heart, one mind, one sound. Very important. Have one heart, you have one mind, and you have one sound. Because that's the fastest way to get responses from God. All right? Without any hitches wherever or whatsoever. Okay. So, what about this? When you put your team together, be very specific in dealing with the reason why you're there. A lot of people just join teams because, oh, I can sing. I can play drums. I can play keyboards. I'm a great bass player. I sing great. I think I'm a really dope lead vocal. The join teams for very different reasons. Somebody's going to look at you in the face and say, hey, I'm joining this team because I want to sing. I just need a place to sing and show my talents. Oh, yes, people will say that. And it's not even a bad thing. See, that's the weird part. It's not even a bad thing when they say that. But the fact is, at the end of the day, is it really about you? Is it about your talent? Is it about the fact that you have a skill? Is it about what is it about? So you see people who come with the mindset that they want to come and glorify God with the gift, but somebody else wants to come and showcase the gift. It's two different parts. It can work. Make sure everybody's in the same lane. Usually, like when you go on a highway, right? I think every one of us been on a highway before. You see, there's lanes for pedestrians. There's lanes for regular drivers, like regular saloon cars and all of that. There's lanes for trailers and truckers. Sometimes there's lanes for buses. You know, if everybody stays in the lane and goes towards the same direction in their lane, everything's going to work out well. But when the pedestrian decides to jump into the highway where the saloon cars and all the fast cars are, we have an accident. When the saloon car decides to go into the lane where the trailers are parked, we have an accident. When the bus driver decides to drive in the pedestrian's lane, we have a massacre. Things go wrong when people lose focus and lose sight of their lanes. The most important thing in building a team is make sure the whole team is united towards the same goal, towards the same action, towards the same destination. Another thing you have to make sure as a leader, speaking to leaders, make sure that you hold the kind of, I don't want to call it power, because power is a very delicate word. A lot of people don't understand the word power. So at every point in time when they get the opportunity to be a leader over something, they lose their heads to just go, ooh, like that. They'd be like, yeah, I got the chance to show these people who I am. So if you mess up, I'll mess you up. It becomes like self-gratifying situations. And we are not dealing with that. We don't want that. Make sure that you're leading a group of people who are willing to be led. Because they have to be willing to be led. Let me explain. There was a time in heaven when Satan decided to lead all the angels. He didn't succeed in leading all the angels. He succeeded in leading a third of all the angels. So let's say that there's 1 million angels. I mean, clearly the Bible will tell you that the number of angels in heaven are literally uncountable. Literally uncountable. Like, I think they're way beyond numbers. They go beyond millions, billions, trillions, zillions, quintillions. They go way beyond infinity, literally. But now check this out. This dude called Lucifer is able to pull 1/3 of all those uncountable number of angels. Now, if you're trying to imagine 1/3 of the number of angels in heaven, a third, that's a lot. You know why he was able to take them? Because he was able to change them towards his direction. So yeah, we all know that Satan is the bad guy and everything, but you can learn from him. He had great leadership skills. The Bible always said that. The Bible calls him the son of the morning. Like, it's like when he flapped. Somebody was trying to analyze how the depth of Lucifer's skill and gift and creation was. Said that when he flapped his wings, you heard music. If he yawned, you heard music. He was the embodiment of all things praise and worship to God, until he decided to take the praise and the worship for himself. And when you think about it, the only thing God really wants, the only thing God has ever asked for, that we know that God cannot give himself, is worship. He cannot worship himself. He cannot praise himself. He can make statements of facts, but he's not going to sit down and start glorifying worshiping himself. No, he cannot do that. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. So we can make that happen. For his glory, right? For his name's sake. That's why we're here. All right? Now, if you want to make this thing work right and make sure that you got people who can actually follow you and do what needs to be done, make sure that the people are willing to be led. It said that if you're a leader, I'm sure we know this man, John Maxwell, I think he's like the #1 leadership expert, like leadership coach, like certified by the books on the planet. He's the #1 leadership coach in the world. Now, he says that if you are a leader and you're not leading anybody and your followers are not following you, he said, you're not leading anybody, you're just taking a walk, you're taking a stroll. And that's exactly what it is. Now, unfortunately, and sadly, but truly, most of us leaders, praise and worship leaders, team leaders, we're just taking strolls. Because the people we're supposed to lead are not even following us. They don't see us as leaders. They don't see us as people that are worth following. I feel that in leadership, especially when it comes to team building, your people should be able to take you at face value. They look at you once and they know this is the guy we want to follow. It means that you're going to have to prepare yourself for that. Now, if I ask a general question, if I ask a very honest question right now, even if I decided to give time for people to tell me how many of them have really taken time to study leadership, I may not get responses. Some of us feel that leadership is by birth. Nah, Some people come out with words to say this person is a born leader. No, leaders are not born. They're designed. Every leader is designed, either self-designed or people designed. But you're not born a leader. Let me explain this. Jesus is God, right? He's God in the form of flesh, also known as the Son, right? But he comes to the world. He almost gets killed. In fact, in the very first few months, he almost gets killed. Think about that. God almost gets killed. In other words, if Jesus had died then, we will not be saved now. Oh, definitely, God always has a plan. But if Jesus had died then, we won't be saved today. Put that aside. He grew up. He had to go and live in Egypt until the people who were looking for him had died out. And then his parents took him back to Jerusalem. Now watch this. He hit the age of 12. He's going for the normal Passover. And he goes to the temple and he's teaching his teachers. The people he should be learning from, he's teaching them. But watch this. Even though he states, it's easy for pastors to tweet this place and say, but Jesus said, don't you know I'm supposed to be about my Father's business? But watch the next verses. The next verses said that his parents took him home and he went home with them and submitted to them. See, that's the part people don't read. Everybody knows, oh, don't you know I'm supposed to be about my Father's business? I mean, my Father's house, I'm supposed to, and then we make a whole sermon out of that, but we forget the part that Jesus, after all of that vibe, he still went home, or still went back home with his parents and submitted to his parents. And we never heard anything about Jesus until he hit 30. From 12, we hear nothing about him anymore until he became 30 years old. Because at this point, he had matured. The Bible says that he grew in wisdom, in stature, in size, and in favor with God and men. So it means he was grown, he was ready for the work. Leaders are not born, they are designed. Don't forget this. I don't want to dwell so much on this one, okay? I'm just going to go ahead with other things. Also, another thing you need to know as a leader is please be followable. A lot of people do not want to follow you because you always come out like the Terminator. They look at you once and they be like, nah, this guy is too some way arrogant, self-centered, whatever. People don't want to follow proud people. If you show some levels of arrogance, nobody wants to be affiliated with an arrogant person. So watch yourself as a leader. We're talking about leading worship teams. It goes way beyond just teaching them right and showing them the right notes and the right chord structures to play and all of that. No, no. What about your personality? Your personality. Because if God is going to use you, he's not going to use the talent. He's going to use the person first before the skill. So what about we prepare the person first? Leadership is not easy. But trust me when I say leadership is fun when you're doing it right. All right? When you're doing leadership right, it is fun. When you're doing leadership the right way, everybody's happy. Things get done. It's easy for some of us to wake up and say, you know what, Father, I got talent and I appreciate you and I want to use my talents for you. But what about you? Are you respectful to people? Or do you have a nasty habit? Do you have a nasty attitude? Like, are you respectful of people or are you disrespectful towards people? Do you know how to talk to people? Or you just feel that at every point in time you have to express your anger and so that people will not step on your head? Really? You know, and it's unfortunate because I can bet that most of us are like this. And this is not to call anybody out, make you feel bad. I've been there before. There were times in my life when I was always so furious about everything. When it wasn't working out, I lost my cool. I yelled at people. I lashed out. But then, by God's grace, I grew up. And I realized that when I grew up, things started happening the way I expected it to happen for me. So when you grow up, when you develop a better attitude to leadership, things change. Your team loves you. When they love you, they can follow you. When they follow you, they can listen to you. And this is what we want. We want a set of people to work with who can follow us and listen to us because they love us. I know leaders, I've seen leaders who are not half as good as the people who follow them. But the people follow them. Do you know why? Because they have a certain attitude to what they do that makes these people willing and humble enough to follow them. And you want to be like that. You want to be those people. You want to be the kind of people that people just look at us once and be like, because of the way this person carries themselves and because of the way their spirit is, I want to follow this person. Now, it's easy for you to tell a person like that, I'm going to need you to sing like this. I'm going to need you to play like this. I'm going to need you to sound like this. And they'll easily do it without a question. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. For leading worship teams. Okay, I know that some of you want to hear the practical part of things. So when you're leading worship teams, I think this is just a trick. Find songs that everybody can relate to. Right? Always, when you want to start out, like putting a team together, don't just go for the crazies. Go for songs everybody can relate with. They don't have to be simple, but make sure it's a song everybody can relate with. All right? And then for those who follow, I know some of us are backing vocals. Some of us are team members. We're not leaders, we're members. For those of us who are team members, backing vocals, musicians, like instrumental musicians, you need to understand that not everything is about you. All right? It doesn't always have to sound the way you would prefer it to sound. The day you said you wanted to follow an artist or a leader or somebody, the day you made that decision to follow that person, you made a decision to follow whatever was put in front of you. You're going to have to respect your part of the deal. Do that. Now, whether you're being paid for it or not. All right? I'm trying so hard not to say so much about what I do. But for a lot of people don't know this, but for the past 2 years, I've been directing music for Ira Star. We all know Ira Star, right? And when it came to Ira's music, it's surprising that she's the artist, but she gets to listen to what I have to say. I tell her, look, sis, we're going to do it like this. We're going to do it like this. There's a reason I put this chord structure here, because I know that whatever you sing is going to match, and she listens. She's the artist, but she listens to me because I'm a musical director, so she can listen to me. And it's the same way with church music. It's the same way with gospel artistry, like maybe not necessarily just singing in church. What about if you have to sing for gospel artists? let's say, I know that Prevailer has got something going. So what about if you have to back up for Prevailer, or you're going to like play instrument for her? You're going to have to learn to listen to her. Whatever her direction is, understand that as a leader. Let me tell you this. Every leader has a direction from God, and every follower has to follow. If you follow the leader, you're following God's direction from the leader. I mean, it's not in every case, all right? Because there's some people who are just led by ego and stuff. But every right thinking leader has directions from God. And if you're going to succeed, you're going to just follow them the way it is. All right? Please pay attention to the people who lead us, whether they be in worship team sessions or choir sessions or artist sessions. I know that maybe somebody has a question to this, but I'm going to take the question. So if you have a question, just note it, because I want to wrap up with this so I can go with something else. Okay. So please make a mental note. And if you have a question regarding anything I just said, please let me know. Let's talk about recruiting and training worship team members or worship teams and members. I'll tell you what, there's this funny saying in my church. It's a very funny saying. We say that some people are, some of us are willing, but we are not able, you know. I always pray every time I want to start something. I pray, I say, God, don't just give me people who are willing. Please give me people who are able. You know why? Because if they're willing and able, it makes your job easy. Oh, yes. It makes the job so easy. Like you just breeze in and out of whatever the projects are. Whether I'm doing this in church or I'm doing it in mainstream, whatever it is, I just pray a prayer. God, give me people who are not just only willing to do it, but they are able to do it, because it speeds up the process for you. Now watch this. You want to start a music team. I'm creating a scenario. You want to start a music team. You said, I need 200 people to come and join the music team, and then 200 people show up and they are willing and excited, but then you tell them to sing and they cannot sing. What are you going to do? It's frustrating, isn't it? It is frustrating. It's so frustrating. It can piss you off. It can, if you don't have a good heart, it can kill you. Literally, it can kill you. So there's really no use getting people who are willing to do it but cannot do it. It's like getting a hoe or a shovel, right? Or a till, whatever, like something to work the ground with. And then you put it there and expect that it's as useless as having a shovel on the ground and expecting that the shovel is going to dig for you. It's not going to do that, because it just does not have the capacity to do that until somebody holds a shovel. Just people who have no idea what it is, but they're excited. They want to work for God, but they don't know how to. So when you pray, you got to pray with some levels of wisdom. God, please give me people who are not just only willing to do it, but let them be able to do it. It's important. Building a team is not a joke. Building a team is, I don't know how to constantly say this for it to make sense to somebody, but understand, building a team is not a joke. I've worked with a lot of artists. In most cases, I have built in my lifetime so far, I've built at least 25 teams of musicians and singers. Now that's crazy. Somebody be like, yo, that's crazy. But it is what it is. Because I've been in situations where I got to call people and like, yo, okay, let me share this. At the point, Michael Stampley was going to come to Ghana to do a concert. It was an MTN-sponsored concert. They wanted him to be the headline. I've been playing for Michael Stampley. I've been playing drums for him since 2009. He calls me and is like, yo, Jay, because of the logistic situation, I'm going to need to work with a team from here. So can you get me a band of musicians from here? I said, okay. And by the grace of God, I was already working with a group of boys who are actually great at what they do. They're not like the perfect, but they're good. I called them. I'm like, look, I'm going to give you people responsibility. And I told them, you're going to be playing for Michael Stampley. They freaked out initially, but then they caught themselves. They had to control them, the emotions and everything, and then they worked. I made sure that literally, like, in quote, pass through fire musically, just to be ready for Michael Stampley to get here. And Micah told me something. He said, Josh, I think you're a slave driver. It's crazy. He thinks I'm a slave driver. He calls me himself and his wife. Auntie Heidi's just gonna look at me and be like, Josh, you're mean. You're very mean. I'm like, what? She said, no, you're too mean because how are you able to move a bunch of guys like this and make them sound like this? I'm like, well, that's the job. The job is the job. And the only way you can do that successfully is when you're working with people who are able to adapt to the situation. I cannot call somebody who just likes instruments and tell them, yo, come and join my team. No, it's not going to happen. And if you're a leader in this place, forget about emotional attachment. Yo, forget about emotional attachment. Forget about, oh, it's my friend. Oh, we've been childhood friends. If you're going to build a team, build a team. It's not going to be about your best friend because your best friend might be a weak link and you do not want a weak link in your team. Oh, yeah, I know she's my friend. I know he's my friend. And we've been singing and playing together. But is he good for the job? That's the question you have to ask yourselves. If the bank manager or the bank director or the bank owner wants to hire all his friends to work, the bank is going to collapse. You know what? Because most of his friends don't even have financial literacy in the first place. So what's the use? So what about get the people who can actually do the job? You're not breaking your relationships or your friendships, but get people who can do the job. All right? Get people who can actually sit down and look you in the face and say, you're playing the wrong note, because they know. Oh, yes, those are the kind of people you want. Get somebody going to look at you and say, you're singing off key, because they know. Team has to be strong. Team has to be locked in. And if team is not locked in, you're not going to succeed in this. It's not going to work. It's unfortunate because a lot of times we be too emotionally attached to. I've been rolling with these people for a long time. So that's the, let me say something funny, okay? That's the problem with most Nigerian artists, familiarity. We work with our circles, our cliques, and we forget that if we can be bold enough to outsource and get people who can actually do the job, we're going to do it well. Sometimes you're going to have to pull your pants up and outsource. Go for it, because somebody's out there who needs to be blessed by what you do. And you're not going to give the people subpar stuff. You're not going to give them under quality stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So don't let the guise of familiarity make you make the wrong decisions when you're trying to build a team. Yeah. When you're recruiting people, recruit people. When you're training people, train people. Make sure that you're on the same wavelength with everything you're teaching. Look, I tell you this. I'm in a branch of one of the biggest churches here in Ghana. Okay, it's called International Central Gospel Church. I'm sure some of you probably have heard about my head pastor, Pastor Mensa Otabil. Now, Pastor Mensa has a mindset of perfection and excellence. He's always carried that. So whenever we're doing events, from the planning to the music to the organization, even the sermons and the timing, everything is done with a certain level of, like, there's a certain picture of excellence and quality that is expected from these conferences and these concerts and all of that. I'm in a branch of that church. When you come to my church, I'm going to say this for musicians' sake. A lot of musicians are afraid of my musicians and singers. It's like, Jay, you're a musical director, so to some of the baddest musical instrument players and singers in this country, and you guys are just in a branch that houses about 500 people. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's what we like, because I like to hide. I like to have, like, let me share this. How many of you know a little bit about the American Special Forces or the Red Army, like in Korea or like Asia, or the French gendarmes? You realize that they're just a handful of people, especially picked. You know why they're specially picked? Because these people, they can trust these people to deliver a whole entire country. They're just a handful. The SEALs, the US Navy SEALs, they're just a handful. They're never plenty. We've seen in a lot of movies how you just send 8 people to go into an enemy camp and go rescue prisoners who number about 500 to 1,000. I know it's movies, but that's the perception you have to carry. You have to carry SEAL Team 8 mentality. That look, I have a team that is not just great at what they do, but they can deliver. Now, that's the kind of people you're trying to build. You're trying to put a team like that together. All right? You're trying to build a crack team that will not break under whatever levels of musical pressure. Today, we're talking about music. I know there's been talks about spirituality and, you know, the inner man building and stuff. And maybe by the end of the day, I'll just throw in a little bit of salt in there. But whatever. First things first, build a team that can handle the pressure. You get what I'm saying? Let me show you this. There's the Super Eagles of Nigeria, it's Black Stars of Ghana, it's all the teams. There's Manchester United, which I support, even though they've been messing up lately and stuff. Whatever it is, you do not call the whack people to play in a team. They're just literally 22 people supporting the country or taking the name of the country out there. It's just a handful. But we put so much trust in this handful of people that we believe that they can do it. See, the selection process is extreme, it's intense. And when you're building a team, especially a musical team that is geared towards giving God glory, you don't want to build a crap team. You want to build a SEAL team. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, some of the things you need to carry in your perception when you're crazy. And it's the same thing with the members or putting the whole team together or individual selections. You have to think like, I'm going to trust these people to be able to go into enemy camp and save souls. They have to be worth it. They have to be great for it. That's the perception you have to carry. Build a team. Don't just be carried away by familiarity and stuff. We're too sentimental in Africa. That's the problem. We're too sentimental. So we need people who are not going to be sentimental. We need people to look at the situation and be like, you know what? This is what needs to be done. Let's do it. And to go ahead and do it. That's what's up. Right? I'm trying not to stay too long on stuff. But also, if you have a question regarding this and you need to say something, please make a mental note. And at the end of the day, hit me. Okay? So we can answer those questions together. All right. My next topic says practice and rehearsals. And then techniques and best modules. Okay. First things first. I'm not going to ask because we don't really have a lot of time. Because I would have said, what is practice or what is rehearsal? But for the sake of those who don't know, practicing and rehearsing are two different things. Yeah, I said it. Yeah. Practice and rehearsal, two different things. I'll explain. In practice, you're coming to a place where you do not know anything. You're coming to learn new material. You're coming to learn a new technique. You're coming to learn a new song. You're coming to learn a new chop or a new chord progression structure. Or you're coming to put it together with people who have no idea what the music is. In practice, you're learning something totally new. All right? That's why in practice situations, the advice would be that you want to give it a lot of time when you're practicing. All right? I have a personal rule, and I'm going to share with you guys. In your practice times, pick something that is totally alien to you. Pick something that is totally new to you and practice it. Go as hard as you can for 18 to 20 minutes with that. Don't stop. Push it. You know why? Because educationally speaking, when you teach people, forget about all the long lecture hours. When you're teaching people, if you notice, I'm trying to cut all my conversations to 18, 20 minutes for each of them. Because why? It's going to stay in your mind. Now, they say scientifically that anything you teach anybody in 18 minutes, the person can remember it for the rest of their lives. It's true. So whatever the topic is, if you're going to read a book a day, just read it for 18 minutes. It's going to stay. So I've always had the 18-minute rule. Try not to go beyond 18 minutes. All right. Now, back to the story. If you want to practice everything you practice for 18 minutes each day. If you give yourself a year, you're going to be perfect in it. It's true. If you pick one technique, especially for those of us who are drummers, pick a technique And every day we run that technique for 18 minutes. By the end of the year, we'll be gods on that level. Same as singing. Pick a song for 18 minutes, go in. Next day, try again, 18. You want to put a rehearsal together and you want to teach them something new. In 18 minutes, lay down the entire structure. Teach everybody everything. Whatever extra time comes in, they're just going to be using that time to figure out what you've already laid as an example for them. But if you have the perception of the fact that, hey, we have rehearsals or we have a practice session today, so let's say we're going to learn a song, our practice routine is going to last for 2 hours. You need to check your timing again. And you're going to find out that you spend so much time teaching and yelling and screaming and nobody learned anything. You're going to go home and be like, but I wasn't doing anything bad. Yes, you were not doing anything bad, but you forgot to take the people's capacity to learn into consideration. I'm sure some of you are hearing this for the first time, and I'm also sure that some of you actually know what I'm saying. 18 minutes on any art or any art form or any study is enough time every day to master the study over a period of time. So try to incorporate that. I'm not saying that at 18 minutes you tell everybody to go. No, come on, there's new things to do. But when you're practicing, if you really want to have like effective practice sessions, 18 minutes a day. We're talking about what? Practicing and rehearsals, right? I'm trying to break the differences. So in practice mode, I take 18 minutes each day. After 18 minutes or 20 minutes, I go into something else different from what I was doing before, because I'm not going to spend my whole day trying to figure out what a double stroke is. Yeah, I'm not going to spend the whole day trying to figure out just the verse of a song. I'm not taught the chorus. If at 18 minutes I don't master the verse, I'm going to the chorus. I'll always come right back to the beginning, right? Always going to come back. So develop like routines that allow you to not spend too much time in practice, but you make sure that the moments you spend become very effective. I'm really grateful because this is being recorded so that you guys can always get back to this and really sit through it and think again and do what you need to do. Okay. Yeah. So that's for practice. Understand that in practice mode, you're coming to learn something you've never learned before. Now about rehearsals. In rehearsals, you're coming to put together everything you've learned before. That's the difference. But sometimes, most of us take rehearsals as practice. See the problem? That's the problem right there. Because somebody be like, yo, we come for rehearsals. It's choir rehearsals. We're going to run this song. We already know this song. And then you come to the song and you're trying to play something you've never mastered yet in a rehearsal. It's not going to work. Ain't going to work. Look, even if somebody lays hands on you, ain't going to work. Because that's not just what it is. All right? So when we come for rehearsals, we're coming to put together everything we have practiced so that we can prepare for a stage or a situation, maybe a recording or whatever. All right. So remember, that's why we have, most of the time, we have the Saturday rehearsal days. So we come on Saturday and just run through it for church service on Sunday, right? Or maybe we have the rehearsal before the show. So we come on a day, maybe a day or two before the show or the ministration or something, or the concert. And when we put it together, everything we have practiced. Just the difference. So never, ever again, confuse both. Don't. Because the day you confuse both, you're going to find out that you're never going to have effective moments to learn anything. Right? You're never going to have effective moments to learn anything. Now, when I go back to practicing, when you practice, you're very determined to make sure that whatever you're here to practice, or whatever you've sat down and made a decision to practice, you are going to master it. Be very, very determined. All right, that's practicing. Practice needs a lot of determination. I must get this thing today by hook or crook. If you have a period, let's say in 3 months, I'm going to master this, then make sure you split your time accordingly so that in 3 months you've mastered it. If you have all you have is 1 hour and you say you want to practice, Now you can also do this. Watch this. In practice, I know I talked about the 18-minute rule, but you can actually run 18 minutes and you still don't succeed. Take a break. Tell you what, Rome was not built in a day. All right? Take a break. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and come right back and start again. Another 18. Same issue. It allows your mind to expand. Makes it easy for you. All right? Take a 10-minute, take a 5-minute break. Come right back and go back in. All right? Now, most of you don't know this, so I'm going to share this with you. See all the gospel artists we all respect and idolize, and we want to be like them and want to sound like them. Kirk Franklin, you know, everybody know Kirk Franklin. Kirk rehearses for 18 hours. You know what I said? No, not 18, 16 hours every day. Have you ever heard Kirk Franklin and the family, like his vocal lineup and the band? Have you heard, you hear the way they sound? 16 hours every day. That's why Kirk Franklin can go on a tour and everything sounds so easy. Everything sounds like a joke because they know it. 16 hours every day. Let me not go too far away, because if I talk about Kirk, some of you are going to be like, oh, it's far. Burna Boy. We're here to learn, right? Burna Boy has a 12-hour routine. I know because his drummer is a very close friend. Most of his musicians are people who have, like, they've studied my material. Like, I'm kind of a mentor to most of his musicians. Now, Burna Boy's musicians take a 12-hour rehearsal period. First 4 hours is the band only. Only the band, just working through the band music. The next 4 hours is the band and the backing vocals. They run through everything again. The last 4 hours is the band, the backing vocals, and Burna. 12 hours. They do that 3 times every week. Oh yeah, for somebody who's confused and you want to build a team, right? Be ready. It's not easy. I told you, one of the first things I said today was it's not easy to build a team, right? It's never been easy. It's not going to start being easy today. But if you put the right foot forward, if you put the right processes around, it's going to be easy for you. Very easy. It's not something you just wake up in the morning and do. All right? It's not. So yeah, that's about practice and rehearsals. Now, when it comes to rehearsals or practicing, you need to pick up techniques that allow you put out your best foot. Now, if you're going to practice as a singer, you don't want to be practicing ad-libs. I know why I said that. I know that some songs are so beautiful, we just want to ad-lib through it. You know, make all the sounds and run all the scales and stuff. And I know my Niger people, we can sing. Be honest. I'm in Ghana where a lot of people, it is just a handful of people who can actually sing. So whenever you have the opportunity to be in a circle where you have a handful of people who can sing, you consider yourself really blessed, right? Like me, I really consider myself blessed because I have some really dope vocal machines around me, which is great. But in Nigeria, anybody on the street will open their mouth and they will bell out some of the nicest notes you've ever imagined in your life, right? But as a singer, what do you want to practice? You don't want to be practicing ad-libs. You want to be practicing scales, because when you master scales, ad-libs will never be a problem. See? We want to jump to the secondary. We ignore the primary, that is actually the bridge to the secondary. Right? Let me give you an instance. Drummers. Drummers want to play what we call chops, all the speedy stuff. Want to sound like Tony Royster Jr., which is actually great. Tony is a friend, brother, mentor. He's one of the biggest drummers on the planet. Everybody wants to sound like Tony Royster, wants to sound like Eric Moore, wants to sound like everybody else, right? But we forget that if we just give ourselves some time and practice single strokes, double strokes, paradiddles, flams, taps, drags, and we master those ones, everything Tony Royster is playing, we can play even more. But we don't pay attention to that. We just want to fly. And it's the same thing with singers. Singers want to do the flashy stuff. Something Micah Stampley taught me. He said, Jay, whenever you're teaching songs, make sure that you're teaching people who are willing to sing straight notes. Straight notes, like when I say straight, talking about do, re, mi, straight notes, okay? Now, why is that? Because if you can discipline yourself to sing a note straight, when it's time to twist the note, you know exactly where to twist it. But if at every point in time you get a note, you want to twist it, you're never going to know what it is like to sing a straight note. There's a woman called Celine Dion. Y'all listen, everybody listens. I mean, everybody in the world listens to Celine Dion. You hear her saying, she's dope. You know why? Celine will hold a note just as is, straight. She's not trying to impress you. She wants to do the right thing. Oh yeah, but we want to impress. Everybody want to impress. So what about take a song, learn the song as it is. Master the song as it is. Talking about singers now. Talking about praise and worship leaders, about backing vocals right now. Take the song, take the piece of music, take the verse, whatever. Master it and learn it the way it is. When you've successfully mastered it the way it is, make another version. Oh, that's where your creativity comes in. But make sure that you're not focused on the inversion, that you forget what the original sound like. That's why a lot of gospel artists don't have a sound. Because all they do is just open their mouth and they want to sound like Yolanda Adams, they want to sound like Kim Burrell, they want to sound like Tasha Cobbs, they want to sound like Fred Hammond, they want to sound like Israel Houghton. Sometimes take the song and just learn it the way it is. Master it the way it is. And then, when it's time for you to get expressive, take your own personal time and then recreate that same song. Right? We talk about scoring. Everybody talk about scoring songs, scoring music. Unfortunately, not everybody really understands what scoring is like, because when you talk about scoring, you're talking about drawing like 5 lines and 4 spaces. You're talking about the entire musical chart. That's where you're going. When you come to score music, that's it. Now, if you cannot get that extensive with doing 5 lines and 4 spaces, you're listening to the notes to make sure which one is a flat and which one is a sharp. You're writing notes down, not necessarily lyrics, notes. You're writing, you know where the inversions of the notes are, scores. It's not easy to score a thing. We are very blessed in Africa because we a lot of us, 90% of the time we learn by just listening. So based on that, I have a rule, personal rule. I say, listen more than you talk. Listen more than you play. Listen more than you sing. You know why? If you listen more, it gives you a chance to check yourself when you eventually get to sing. But if you're just excited about singing or playing, you never put anything else into consideration and you end up sounding always crappy as usual. Yeah, it's what it is. It's the truth. I'm sure somebody's like, why is he talking to us like this? It's true. I want you guys to grow. I want everybody to be the best version of themselves. I want to be the best version of myself. So as I'm talking to you right now and running my mouth, I'm telling myself the exact same things over and over again. Jay, this is what it is. Because I'm not going to spend the time teaching you and then I don't get anything out of it. That would be stupid on my part. You know, that'd be stupid on my part. Yeah, it's talking about techniques. Best modules. Okay, let's say best modules. Everybody has a threshold as to what works for them. Everybody, you know where your powers, musical powers, or your prowess is. You know it, right? Some of us are not high-pitched singers. Some of us are not low-depth singers. Some of us are not mid singers. Some of us only know how to sing high. Some of us know only how to sing low. Some of us know how to just be in the middle of things. With that information, when you know what your threshold is, Practice around your threshold. Learn around your threshold. Stay true to your threshold until you. One thing is this: whenever you're learning something, you know when you've outlearned it. Example, a child struggles with a spoon when it's time to eat, so they end up messing the. I mean, you give a very little child a spoon and just feed yourself. There is 100% possibility that the food may never reach its mouth. Fact. But I can bet you that food is going to end up on his clothes. Fact. You know why? They've not mastered the art of the wrist and how the wrist works. So they only see things and they want to mimic it, but they don't know it. They've not mastered it. Same way. If you're not used to something, don't try to do. If you're still at the age where somebody has to feed you, please be humble enough to let people feed you. When you get to the age where you can feed yourself, please be confident enough to feed yourself. What it is. That's just what it is. There's nowhere else to put it. Somebody might be in this room right now expecting that Jay is going to just throw some laid out, tested and trusted patterns. No, this is it. This is it. Some of us are still being spoon-fed. I'm not saying you want to be spoon-fed forever. I will not advise you to be spoon-fed forever. Just understand that you can only be spoon-fed for as long. But when the time comes, please try to make an effort to feed yourself. Come on, try. Try to make an effort. Pick the spoon up. Grab the plate. If you cannot put the spoon in your mouth, make sure you know exactly how to drink from the bowl. You get what I'm saying? There's no lay down special effects or anything to this. It's process. That's what it's called. Process. Now, people's processes are different, but I'm just giving you a laid out blueprint as to what actually can help you work. And it doesn't always have to be like that or like this or that. No. Follow the process. You crawl first before you can walk, before you can run, before you can fly. And if you think that while you're busy crawling on your belly, somebody's going to just give you a key that will help you fly, you're going to die, man. You're going to die for that. It's a fact. Or somebody will just unlock something and you begin to run just from crawling. You begin to run. No. Let me destroy somebody's theology right now. So it's a place that talks about waiting on the Lord. It says, "The they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength." Right? It says, "They shall mount up with wings as an eagle. They shall run." Okay, let's start from the first one. They'll renew their strength and they'll mount up with wings like eagles. Like, not that they're eagles, but like an eagle. They'll mount up with wings. They will run and not be weary, and they will walk and not faint. All of that is just showing you different processes that you will go through when you wait on the Lord. Some people will automatically develop wings to fly like eagles. Some people will automatically start running and they will not get tired. Others will just be able to only walk, but they won't faint. It's process. Everything is process. In the music, in the art, the secular world, education, it's process. But the key thing is that in that verse, the person who is flying, mounting up with wings as eagles, and the person who is running and not being weary, and the person who is walking and not fainting, they have one thing in common. They will renew their strength. That's it. That's it. Can you renew your strength? Can you have your strength renewed? In this case, can you get it done? That's all I'm asking you as a question. Can you let your strength be renewed? Can you put in the work that is needed to fly or to run or to walk? That's the question. So the most important thing is not about flying or running or walking. It's about renewing your strength. The key is where? Waiting on the Lord. Same way. The key is where? Going through the process. I'm not a preacher. I don't know how to preach. If you put me on a podium and tell me preach and save your life, I'd probably be dead or something because I don't know how to preach. It's just what it is. The most important thing is for you to renew your strength, you got to wait on the Lord. Now, for you to be able to start in any processes in your life, you have to go through the thing. You have to make efforts to practice and master the things you practice. You're going to have to make sure that you keep time out and take your rehearsal seriously so that you can do what you need to do. That's the only way you can get this to work. Like I said before, there is no particular blueprint laid out for you to say, it has to be like this. It's automatic. You got to go like this. No. Come on. Everybody on different processes. Respect your process enough to obey it and work with it and make it work. That's it. All right. So yeah, when it comes to modules for Rehearsal, that's it. That's it. The last thing I'm going to say is, I think the last thing I'm going to say is like, it's almost like the first thing I said. Like when you're leading worship teams, you want to make sure you're in the same direction. But then we're talking about team building and fostering unity in the team. All right. Team building. Let me ask this question. How many of us in this room read books? I read a lot. I love to read. I'm always looking for something to read. If I don't have like soft copies, I have hard copies. I'm buying books from my pastor in church. I'm buying my pastor's books. I'm reading novels. I'm reading crime stories. I'm reading newspapers. I'm reading everything. I'm reading online. I love to read. You know why? Because reading is like a window to your soul. When you read a book, it's like a window opens. It's a lot of information. Now, in team building, try to create a time with your team where you can just, thank God we have the Bible, the best book ever. The best book for all times. We have the Bible. Develop an attitude of reading the Bible. Pick the Bible and be like, yo, today we're gonna rehearse for 30 minutes, but we're gonna read the Bible for 30 minutes. Let's go. Make sure everybody goes in. Read the Bible. Now it may not always be just the Bible, which is actually the primary book to read. But as musicians, you want to read musically related material. Look for musically related material. Read with your people. Everybody's mind needs to expand. That's the way we get to win in this thing called music life. Right? It's the fastest way to win. It's the surest way to win. When we are all on the same page, we can do miracles, man. We can do so much together. But if we're all like different patterns and stuff, and everybody just be here and then, we ain't going to do nothing to save our lives. It's what it is. So what about read? Come together. Say today, we're not going to sing a single song. Today, we're just going to read a place from the Bible and talk about it. Let's go. Read. Today, we're going to read from the words of, oh, does Nathaniel Bassi have a book? Doesn't have a book. I'm just saying. Or does Pastor Adeboye has it? Yeah, he has books. Come on. Let's read from here. Let's look at his perception of music. Look for people's perceptions of music. Share that education with your team. It's important. It helps everybody bond. Another way, I know sometimes we be like, oh, we're not about the parties and stuff, but hey, I can never in my life underplay the importance of having fun. The right way, that is. I tell you what I do with my team. Sometimes when we are not gigging, or sometimes when we are about to play a show or something, tell everybody, you know what, we're going to the mall. We just go hang out at the mall. We're just going to buy food and eat and chat. Sometimes we wake up in the middle of the night. I'll call my manager. I'm like, yo, this is what it is. Let's go to this place tomorrow. Let's go to this eatery tomorrow. Everybody, call everybody, send everybody a message. I end up funding it sometimes, but we do it anyways because we still have to build that unity. We have to build that unified front. We're a team. They say a family that prays together stays together, right? It's the same way. A family that hangs out often stays together. The family that reads together stays together. A family that plays together stays together. It's like that. And just because I mentioned this, you can never underestimate the importance and the power of prayer in a team. Sometimes ignore the music. Say, you know what? For 2 hours, or for 1 hour, or for 30 minutes, or for 10, or for 5, or for 15 minutes, or 20 minutes, we're going to pray for the team. Pray. Everybody pray for the team. Look, no, I think I'll say that for the last, about the job we're doing for God. Understand that we're doing a job for God, okay? But keep that in mind. I'll say something about it. Ray as a team, come together, lock in. How many of you know this team called the Golden State Warriors? Yeah, it's a basketball team, one of the greatest basketball teams currently. I know, at least even if you don't know the Golden State Warriors, you know Stephen Curry, Steph Curry. Good. Baddest three-pointer of all time. Good. Now watch this. Steph Curry has a quote for every game. Immediately, Golden State are going to play a game. He says something. Dub Nation, lock in. It's like a call to arms. It's like when Steph tweets, Dub Nation, lock in. Look, even the players, the fans, the whole community, everybody locks into that tweet. The encouraging words start flowing. People are wishing them well. People are praying for them on the timeline, everything. They go and trash their opponents like daily bread. Once Steph goes on Twitter or Instagram, anyone says, Dub Nation, lock in. That's what it is. That's all everybody wants to hear. Okay, first thing is established. Golden State have a game tonight. So everybody, let's go support. That's it. You need to be able to come up with your own lock-in mentality, your own lock-in quotes, your own lock-in moments. Yeah. I have a quote I say, I have a saying I say to my team. I've been saying this since 2007. When I'm working with some musicians and it's about to go out, like I say, guys, we're about to go live. They just know. When Jay says it's about to go live, it's about to go live. And when I say we're about to go live, it has nothing to do with live streaming. It has everything to do with the attitude, the energy, the spirit we're taking on the stage. Everybody must feel it. That's the perception. And now whatever we must do to go live the way we expect to, we have to pray about it or read it for it, put our gear together or whatever, we do it. Everything that needs to be done so that when we go live well. We do it. Everybody locks in. So you're going to have to, we're talking about team building. You need to come up with situations that allow you to be very, very conversant with your team. Your team members, as leaders, your team members should be able to call you in the middle of the night and say, yo, I have a problem. I need you to pray for me, or I need advice. Yeah. If your team members cannot do that for you, better check yourself again. You need to be able to build their confidence and be able to, look, I tell you this, one of the things that has destroyed a lot of teams is the lack of confidence. When I say lack of confidence, I'm not talking about boldness or anything. I'm talking about the fact that people cannot confide in their leaders because they tell you something in secret and everybody hears it in town. Are you willing to cover as a leader? Can you cover your team? Can you? There's a prayer Jesus prayed for his disciples. He said it was that was before he got crucified. He prayed. He said, "You've given all these people to me. I'm giving them back to you." He said, "You gave me everybody you've given to me. You've given them all to me, Father. I'm giving them back to you. You know why? Because nothing can take them out of your hands. That's what coverings do. It's what coverings do. There's things that, look, team members have problems. Team members are going through it. Everybody's going through it, you know. Everybody's going through something that hurts. It's breaking people into pieces. You don't know it. Somebody confides in you enough to tell you a deep-seated secret, and you go to town with it and go tell other people about it. You're not a good leader. Not everything is meant for the public. Not everything is meant for the public. Not everything is meant to be on TV. Let me show you an instance. Yesterday was, on Friday, I was asked to come and do an interview for a gospel TV station. So they called me and they actually spoke to me about it like 3 days ago. So, well, I need to check my schedule for this. But then the night before the thing, they called me again and they're like, we want you to talk about this. And it had to do with paying musicians. Now, I know the people and I know their perception of paying musicians. They're a church that doesn't believe in paying musicians, but they have a TV station. And they want me to come up in there and support their agenda. I thought about it. I'm like, it's not how to deal. There's a lot of things going on. Musicians are not like ushers. Or let me say this. Somebody needs to pay attention to this. Some of us in this room right now don't understand why musicians are being paid or why they should be paid. Let me give you an instance. Music, you were not born with music. You developed that talent. Now, I wasn't born with sweeping, but just looking at somebody sweep, I can sweep. Just looking at somebody clean chairs, I can clean chairs, right? Just looking at people do the simple chores, I can do them. Looking at somebody wash dishes, I can wash dishes. But looking at somebody play music, you can't. So when you have a musician who has dedicated time, energy, money, put it into their art, and then you ask them to come and help create an atmosphere in your place, and you decide as a pastor and say, for what you do, I'm going to give you like a stipend. This. Please don't let anybody change your mind. That guy or that girl must have worked so hard to get there. Haven't you wondered why people pay their praise and worship leaders, pay their musicians? It's not surprising. You know why? Because the pastors and the leaders of those churches have opened their third eyes. God has shown them, look, what does the Bible say about this? Let's not talk about it. The Bible says that anybody who works in the temple, say work. What is work? Occupation, right? Work. Paul was telling the disciples, he said, anybody who does not work should not eat. Work. He didn't say anybody who does not clean should not eat. He didn't say anybody who does not sweep should not eat. He didn't say anybody who wipes the temple should not. He said anybody who does not work. And in the Old Testament, God told Moses specifically, he said, look, for the Levites who serve in the temple as musicians and singers, they should be paid from there. But a lot of times our pastors, most pastors, not our, I'll say my pastor, because my pastor he's spiritual enough to understand how these things work. Says for every Levite who works in the temple, they eat from there. They be paid from there for their work. Because God had assigned that Levites do not have any work. They don't do secular, they don't do menial jobs, they don't go and work outside, they don't have join any companies, they don't work for anybody, they just serve in the temple. That was their job. So when you call a musician and say, come and serve here as a musician, come and be a musical director, come and be a drummer, keyboard player, or a lead singer, think about it. But that's by the way, anyway. We're talking about confidence. There's a lot of people who cannot contain this. And because some of us are so biased with the way we think from wherever we're coming from, when we see somebody has a different perception, we destroy the perception. And in turn, we destroy the person. And that's immature. It's very immature. I don't think that God expects that from us. Team building goes beyond just having a very solid team. Are you able to play with your teammates? I will call your teammates and be like, yo, today we are not rehearsing. Somebody bring cards. Let's play a card game. Or let's go play soccer. Or let's go sightseeing. Let's go and roam around the city and come back. Are you able to do that for your team? It builds confidence. It makes them look at you as a leader, somebody they can follow. It goes beyond just singing. Some of us leaders have a very terrible attitude. Here we're great, we sound so good, and we can play so well, and we can do everything, and we can direct so well. But then we don't have the patience to bear people when people make mistakes. We lash out on them, we lash out at them, we degrade them, we make them feel like they're stupid for doing this, really. And then I wish, like for a split second, like I was Jesus, then I'd be looking at you like, is this guy serious at all? Or is this girl serious at all? Yeah. So sometimes I feel that Jesus be looking at us like, as people, okay, like example, Jesus told the story of a wicked servant. Said the servant owed his master, let's say $100. Say owed his master $1 million, and the master said, "Pay up, else I'll throw you in prison." The servant says, boss, I don't have $1 million. I cannot pay you. Please give me time. And the master looks at the situation and be like, yo, you know what? He's my servant. He works for me. Let me just clear his debt. The master forgives him of the 1 million. He's like, yo, go, you're free. You don't owe me. Immediately he leaves his master. He goes outside and he sees his friend who owes him $100. He owed his master $1 million and the debt was cleared. Master let him go. His friend owes him $100. He throws the friend in prison. And then people came and told the story to his master. Say, yo, the guy you just forgave of $1 million debt has just thrown somebody in jail who owed him $100. We all know the reaction of the master, right? He said, I forgave you for more than the guy owed you. But you had the guts to be wicked enough to throw him in prison. Okay, I'm going to throw you in jail and you're not coming out until you pay the last penny. Sometimes I feel that that's how God look at us. I forgive you of so much, but you can't forgive people. You have to be a leader who can forgive. Your followers are going to piss you off. Yo, these people will, listen, I'm speaking from a place of experience. Your followers will piss you off. Are you able to forgive them and not hold it against them? The Lord's Prayer says what? And forgive us our trespasses, same way as we forgive those who trespass against us. Forgiveness as a leader is non-negotiable. You cannot go the leader without having the heart to forgive. If you really want to be like Jesus, man, you're going to have to forgive. People will hurt you. People will do the worst. Look, don't quote me out of context. Forgiveness does not mean you'll be friends with the people. In Nigeria, we have a saying, say, forgive and forget, right? I'll forgive you. I'm not going to give you the chance to come close so you don't hurt me again. I've learned my lesson. But if you're a member of my team, I'll forgive you. And then I'll put stringent measures in place so that you don't do that again. Leave every one of us with. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to continue from there. I said, the last thing I said was that if you're not able to forgive people, you cannot be a good leader. That's it. All right. And God is expecting for us to be able to have the heart, the same heart that Jesus had. If Jesus could forgive me of all my sins, what about when a member of the team does something that, now it doesn't always have to be musical. Maybe they can actually outright disrespect you. How are you going to deal with that? Put measures in place so that tomorrow the disrespect will not happen. But please forgive the person for disrespecting you. You have a job to do. You have a God to please. You're not doing it because the person pissed you off and you'd be like, I'm not doing it anymore. Then you were not really working for God. You're working for yourself and your ego. And we know how God feels about ego. Same reason he kicked Satan out of heaven. Right there. Ego, pride, arrogance. And these are some of the reasons that make you feel so lifted in your spirit that you don't think that if somebody hurts you, you can let it go. Please learn to let things go. Leadership was never going to be easy, man. Please learn to let things go. I'm going to say this and wrap up. Remember this, as musicians and singers and praise worship leaders and musical directors and all. Somebody had this job before us. We took his job. He's pissed at us. Satan is not happy that you took his job. He's not happy that I took his job. He's not happy with any of us, so he will always come at us. He will always come at us. But we have advantages because, one, the blood of Jesus covers us, right? And we're not doing it for anyone. We're not doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for God. Regardless, the Bible says, whatever you do, do it as unto Christ, right? So even if I'm eating in the kitchen, I'm going to eat like I'm eating for Christ. Come on, like, eat well. You know, I know that's just, it could be hilarious to some people, but I know exactly what I'm talking about. Whatever you do, do it as you're doing it for Christ. And remember, Satan is not happy that you took his job. So cover yourself. Stay covered. Stay covered. Pray. Fast. Read the word. And then put your heart in what you do. And let God show you the output. All right? Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate this. I don't take it for granted at all. Thank you, every one of you that has stayed up and be patient. I see some of you come in and go out, but then you still come right back in. I really appreciate you guys. Don't take it for granted at all. Thank you so much for having me. Revela, Reggie, thank you guys so much. I love you guys. I really, really appreciate this moment with you all. All right. God bless you. I'm done.
Oh, wow, this has been so amazing. Oh my God. We are so honored to have you tonight. Like, you're so honored, okay? Thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, so we have a few questions.
Okay.
So, okay, so this question is coming from Emmanuel. And
okay.
Yes, he's saying, I'm a singer for a while and I have been off music, okay, since last year, December. He had a pain in his throat, okay, and since the day the pain started, he cannot sing and all that. So when he feels like to sing, his throat gets tight and his voice starts to strain. Okay, so he's asking that this, how should he get back and what should he do to get back?
Yeah. Emmanuel, that's a very serious situation. Let me give you some advice, okay? First things first, I'll talk about the physical stuff. Do you drink cold stuff? Cut it out. See where I went straight? I went straight for the jugular. You drink anything cold, stop it. Like it ends right now. Stop it. Do you take it to men like lots of, I can tell, a lot of sugar, lots of oils for some people. Okay, now watch this. I know people who can actually drink a bottle of oil and go to the stage and sing and sound like silk. Perfect. But for most people, oil doesn't work. So if you're somebody who likes a lot of oils, you have to cut it down. Don't cut it down, cut it like, turn it down all the way from 100 to maybe a 5. That would help you. If you're a sweet tooth, like you like sugar, cut sugar out. It's not gonna help you. Sugar does not allow your injuries to heal. And if you're having a pain in your throat, then it means that you somehow damaged your vocal cords, and you need to let it heal. Drink a lot of room temperature water. Avoid fizzy drinks. No Coca-Cola, no Fanta, no Sprite, no Pepsi, none of that. None. All right? If you want to drink anything, I would suggest to you, for healing's sake, put honey in warm water and drink it like tea, like regular tea. Just honey in warm water. Drink. Do it like every morning, if you can, every morning. All right? And then drink room temperature water. I tell you this, I've not drank cold water in my house for getting to 2 years now. Getting to 2 years. I do that on purpose. Guess what? I don't sing. I'm a drummer. I play drums. But once in a bit in church, I have to step in and sing because I'm a musical director in church. And because of that, I realized that sometimes I get so strained because when you're working as the drummer, you get to like talk a lot into the talk back and you're yelling instructions and everything. And then you get up the drums and you have to go and lead a song. It's straining. I don't drink cold water. I used to be a Coca-Cola addict, but God is gradually saving me from it because these days I can drink Coke like once in a month and I don't feel bad. Yeah. But then cut out everything fizzy. Avoid putting strain on your voices. Like when you try to sing, don't be too loud. Don't talk so much. Look, talking can loosen your vocal cords, but at the same time, if you're yelling, it can stress you. And I'm saying this not just for Imam, I'm saying for everybody, every single singer in this room, every one of us. All right. So pay attention. Take like warm things. For this situation, I would advise that you take something warm before you sleep and something warm when you wake up. And then if you're going to drink anything cold, let it just be normal room temperature. Cut out the drinks. Please cut out the fizzy drinks. Anything that has foam in it, take it out. Anything that has alcohol in it, take it out because alcohol dries your vocal cords. Yeah. And then eat a lot of fruits. Watermelon, bananas are great. Occasionally. Oranges are very acidic, but occasionally add orange to your mix. Occasionally, right? For singers, watermelons and bananas are like the best thing. If all you do is eat a banana, trust me, it heals your vocal cords. At the same time, it gives it like free passageway. So, and then when you now take this few exercises, try to do the lip trills, like the every time. Try to do it with notes, right? And everybody tried like that. That very thing right there has a way of loosening your vocal cords. So if everybody in this room can take it a key at a time, go maybe like do re mi fa sol fa mi re do, next key, do re mi fa sol fa mi re do, next key, do re mi fa sol fa mi re do. Just keep going as high as you can. Once you start feeling stuck, come right back down. Restart the process. Now you can't do all of that in a day, so you take your time. Once every day for 5 minutes, you run through that. It will help build your vocal cords. It's like vocal muscle. And then another thing for singers, I'm saying this in general for singers because most people have issues with this. How many of us exercise? Question. Very important. When I say exercise, I'm not talking about go to the gym and lift something that is bigger than your head. No. We can all want to do that. So I do that sometimes, right? But what about regular sit-ups at home, push-ups, crunches, anything that allows you to breathe a little bit more than you breathe regularly? Because singing is all about breathing. Prevail, I remember last time we talked about this and I said singing is all about breathing. Because if you can breathe as you sing, then you're never going to lose your voice. If you can breathe as you sing effortlessly, if you know exactly the amount of air to take in when you're about to belt out a long note, you know the exact amount of air to take in when you're going to just belt out a single or a progression of notes. If you can control your breathing as you sing, you're going to be the greatest singer in the world. So do exercises that allow you like work your lungs, okay? Now, this is cheat code. What I'm about to say is cheat code. For those of you who have like showers at home, like where the water comes from a faucet up to your head, every morning, stand under the shower, turn it on, and try to do lip trills inside, like as high as you can, or as you can even hold one long stretch. And then when you're done with that after a while, try to sing with the water still hitting your head. Let me tell you this, water is a lot of pressure, even if it's a drop. Usually water is so heavy that when it hits your head, it makes everything go in. But if you can sing with that level of pressure on your head, you can sing anywhere else. I said it was cheat code, right? So you can all go try that. One thing you're going to notice is as soon as you try this, there's a lot of pressure you feel. You're like, can I even open? Can I breathe? Now your brain is gonna have to learn how to breathe and sing underwater at the same time. So it's a great exercise that you should apply every day. Try it and please don't yell too much, and you don't have to get involved in every courtyard conversation. You can't be yelling and laughing too hard and no. For Ima, please let your vocal cords heal. Please let it heal. Because I'll show you this. We all know the man, Donnie McClurkin, right? It's one of the greatest singers of all time, right? Donnie McClurkin has had a vocal cord surgery. And after he had that vocal cord surgery, we all know how he sounded. All of a sudden, he was not the Donnie we knew. He's toned down a little bit. Now, there was a guy who's passed on now. His name was James Brown. James Brown is one of the hardest singers of all time. James Brown had 3 vocal cord surgeries. By the 3rd one, he could not talk anymore. You don't want to get there. Please, take care of it. All we have as singers is our vocal cords. Please take care of it. Don't stress your vocal cords. For some people, maybe we don't know what the vocal cord looks like. It looks like, you know, tissue paper, right? Like tissue paper, right? It looks like 2 pieces of tissue paper just rubbing against each other like this. It is so thin, it can tear. it's very fragile. So how some of us get to crack our voices and regain it after a week, it's only God that has been keeping us. But please, don't put yourself at risk. Take your time. Go through the threshold until you know your voice breaks, then let the voice rest. But next time you try to sound, you sound better. But if you've been having pain for a year, maybe you might want to go see a doctor too, because your voice is your health, and that's your money. Like if you're running this thing as a business, you need to think like that. Okay, this thing is bringing me money. I need to take care of it. I need to go check it out, make sure I'm okay. All right. I think for that's it. Yeah.
Wow, great. Okay, so the next question are coming from Precious Adeyemo. Okay, so talking about consistency as a singer.
Yep.
So she finds it's hard, okay, to be consistent, and she's asking that what can she do to be
okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can see the question so I get to understand it. Okay, I've seen Fantasia Emmanuel's question. I'm looking for the other one. Okay, talking about consistency. I'm a singer, but also a student. I find it difficult to be consistent. When I'm at school, I'm so occupied. I haven't still found the standard choir in my new area. What can I do? Just keep singing. That's it. Just sing. Sing all you want. Like every chance you get, sing. I have a habit. This is my in-ear monitors, right? I use them for stage, all my feedback and everything, but 24/7. If I don't have my AirPods on, I have this with me. I'm always listening to music. Now, the trick is this: listen more than you sing. Talking about consistency. Anything you commit to memory stays. You do not always have to express it. If you have a habit of consistently listening to music every chance you get, chances are that the music is going to stay in your subconscious. The day you need to sing, you're going to sound exactly like the thing in your subconscious. All right. So consistency is easy for you. I get the education and it's cool because you need to focus on school. I wouldn't advise you otherwise. Okay. But I would think that consistency, try. Listen to a lot of music, listen to a lot of material, listen to your favorite artists, listen to artists that you don't even like. Listen to them, because there's a technique or two you can actually adapt to and store it in your subconscious. Listen to as much musical material as you can. And whenever you get the chance, try to sing. Don't wait until you join a choir or a group. Keep going with it, okay? Use the time to build your personal stamina musically, all right? One day the opportunity is going to present itself, and when the opportunity presents itself, you will be ready for it. Okay, I hope that helps.
Okay, great. Okay, so the next question. Yep. How do you change a leader that is bossy, team leader that is bossy? How do you change it?
What did you say? Say that again.
How do you change a bossy team leader? How do you change the bossy?
You don't change a bossy team leader. Okay. First question is, signs and symptoms and signatures just to show our displeasure. Okay, sorry about that. I kind of went off just a bit. I don't know why, but if you're going to deal with a bossy leader, okay, if you have to say anything to a bossy leader, please do not say it in the confines of the group. Tell him separately, way away from the zone. It's called respect. If you address your leader in the presence of every other follower, it's going to be seen as disrespect. And you know that no leader wants that, right? No leader wants to look disrespected or feel disrespect. Nobody wants that. Okay. So if you have anything to trash out with your leader, deal with it after you've all left the environment. Call them on the phone and say, you know what, respect you and grateful for the fact that you're working with us, but this I have as a challenge. Please, sometimes you might even speak of the book. Thank you for the feeling. You still want to talk to them in a way that commands their respect for you, because at the end of the day, if you treat a problem as maturely as possible, your leader is going to have respect for you. And based on the respect he or she has for you, they're going to try to change so that they can keep working with you. All right? So you cannot really change a bossy leader. You can voice your problems or your challenges or your concerns. But please, when you have to voice your concerns, please do it away from the rest of the team, because if you do it where the rest of the team is, it is disrespect. Because there's a tendency that once you start, somebody else who does not have your composure is going to raise an alarm. Be like, this is the problem. Yeah, we've always done this. And guess what's loading? Trouble right there. And you don't want that. So what about address it separately, or speak to somebody either in the place? Tell him, look, this is what we are going to. Please, can you speak to the leader so that he or she can change and help us and try to tone down with us? I know that most leaders want to get this job. I'm like that. We want to get this thing done so bad, like it has to work. And we will not take no for an answer. You understand? But I feel also that we all have conscience, right? There is a tendency that I will adjust for your emotion. All right. So yeah, basically, I think that could help. But please try never, ever to address a leadership issue in the presence of every other subordinate. It is disrespect. Please. I hope it helps. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next question.
Right.
How long it will be? Okay, so this person is asking.
There's another question?
Yes. Okay, so this person is
asking, I'm trying to see it.
How do I fight okay, please can you see?
Yep. Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
No, I can't see any questions, so you're gonna have to just read it out. That's fine.
Okay, yeah. It says, how do I fight stage fright in an environment I am not familiar with? How do I fight a stage fright in an environment I'm not familiar with?
Yeah. I'm not sure I understand this. Everybody has stage fright, including me, including Prevailor, including everybody. You know why? Especially sometimes I feel for international artists, like when you invite them to unfamiliar territory. And even the Americans, Africa, they freak out because they be like, are these people going to know my music? Are they going to sing along with me? It gets confusing, okay? But stage fright is normal. Please. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Stage fright is normal. So don't think it's an anomaly. It's not an anomaly. It's a normal happening. It's an occurrence. Everybody goes through it. Now, one thing I've like growing up and when I started playing and when I started like occasionally singing or when I have to work in front of big crowds and everything, I go there with the fact that first off, I have a duty. So my focus is on my duty. All right. But if my duty demands that I'm going to have to look at people, I have a habit. I don't look at people in the eye beyond a second. So I can end up shifting my gaze on everybody. I just keep shifting my gaze. It's a coping technique, okay? It's a coping mechanism. I can start, maybe let's say I'm a singer and I'm singing. Sometimes, if it's a building, I put my eyes on something that is above everybody's head. and I fix my eyes there and I sing. I still do what I need to do. Still, if I'm going on the stage to lead a song and I'm going with my own team, but it's a different place, we've never been there, I know that I have to engage everybody. So I'm going to switch back to the 1 second look. I'm going to try to run that through the crowd. I'm not going to be like trying to look at everybody individually like this. And no, I'm not doing that. I'm just 1 minute, I'm here. Next minute, I'm throwing the information here and I'm looking here and I'm telling the people here, but I'm looking here. Yeah, like that. You find ways to adapt to it. You can never, ever stage fright. You can't treat it. You have to deal with it. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it. Just get on the stage and sing. But one thing is, one of the smartest things to do is be very well crafted and grounded in what you're about to do on that stage so that you can focus on that. If you don't focus on anything else, focus on what you're about to do on the stage. I have a habit. Some people are like, I'm afraid of stages, so I close my eyes. No. You need to communicate with the people. You need to look at people in the face and tell them exactly what to do. What if you want the people to clap your hands? What you going to say? It was like, clap your hands like this, and then your eyes are closed. And especially if you're on an elevated platform, you don't know when you close your eyes and you're standing stationary, before you realize that you're facing another angle. That's the thing, because the dynamics change when you close your eyes. All right. And or stages, stages can be very dangerous. You need to keep your eyes open on stages so you don't fall off. So there's no way I'm going to give you advice to close your eyes. It's not going to happen. Even if you're praying, your eyes open. You don't know the place. All right. So stage fright is not something that you have to deal with it by yourself. I still get stage fright. I've been on some of the biggest stages in the world and I still get afraid. I go on places and I freak out literally. I'm like, hey, Charlie, people are so many here. Hey. Sometimes they want to call us on stage. I have to peep through the window, like the curtain, and say, oh, more, the people are plenty. Hey. Then I run back and I go tell my bandmates, I'm like, yo, there is a crowd out there. And they're like, then they are all excited, but I'm freaking out because usually, okay, example, I play drums with Ira Star. So the drummer's elevation is always very high, like it's higher than the rest of the musicians because I'm always central. Now, I open the curtain and I see where the drums are and I freak out. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. It's frightening enough. But guess what? Guess who's still going to sit on that drum and play? Me. So why am I going to be afraid? So you cannot really deal with stage fright. You can choose to pick a point in the venue and stare at it. But I would suggest that for the fact that you're trying to minister to people and talk to people and engage the people, you're going to have to find a way to deal with it. Sing, get happy. Even if you're afraid of the people, you cannot be afraid of your team. So communicate with your team. It's better. It helps you heal, right? If you turn around and tell your team, okay, clap with me, let's do this. And everybody else is definitely going to listen to you, all right? But if you have this positive energy on the stage, it's easy for people to follow you and just want to do everything you ask them to do. Stage fright never ends. You just have to live with it, okay? Yeah, it's just what I think. Yeah.
Okay, so we have the last question for tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. From Winade. Yeah, Winade. And she's saying, I discovered that my perspective is so different from that of the people in the choir group. And I also discovered that they don't really like me for that. What can I do?
It's a very delicate situation, you know. It is delicate. Let's do it like this. Do you realize that if every human being, okay, I think I should start like this. Every human being has a threshold, like a breaking point. You're not the only person who can see the breaking point. Everybody else can see it. For now, they don't like you because they think you're voicing it out. There is something God told Esau after Esau had sold his birthright. I'm not saying you sold your birthright or anything, okay? I'm not saying that. But God told Esau something. He said, you will serve your little brother. You will be a slave to him. But one day, you're going to get up and shake the yoke off your neck. And that's the day you'll be free of your brother's leadership. What God was trying to say is, we're all going to be in places where we have to cope with the system. But one day the system will break for us. If you're patient enough, if you're willing to just sit down and learn, one day they'll understand that everything you've been saying is actually key to the growth of the system. They're going to ask for your help. Maybe that's the day you actually get elevated. Maybe that's the day you get promoted in the team. But it's always like that. So yeah, right now we want to all force our ideas on people. No. We came somewhere and we're all coming from different places. Respect the fact that we're all coming from different places. But wait, everything in life is by turns, right? Wait your turn. Your turn will come. When your turn comes, everybody gonna be like, what this lady has been saying is true. I think we should take her approach. If we really want to grow, let's take her approach. Everybody's going to be putting the pressure on for your sake. They'll be like, yo, whatever she's been telling us from day one is true. Because guess what? Music keeps evolving. Always evolving. Now, if you try to counter everything that is put in front of you, you make enemies, right? You don't want to make enemies. So don't try to make enemies right now. Cope with the mechanism. One day the mechanism is going to break for you. Okay? I hope you get.
We can no longer hear you, Jay.
Oh, hello everybody. I'm back. Yeah. So I was saying that one day, if you're consistent enough and you're willing to work with what they present in front of you, despite the fact that you've said the things you needed to say, okay, one day the system is going to break for you. One of the very same people who kept countering the things you were saying will be like, yo, she's actually telling us the truth. So let's listen to her. Let's try her approach. Now, I'm not promising that this is going to be overnight. Sometimes it might take a while. But if you really love the team and you really want to help the team and you really want to be there for the team, then be there for the team. Do what you can. And in your little ways, show them that you're not an enemy. You're not the enemy. Because if you step in a new place and all of a sudden you want to counter everything that is already being set, everybody sees you as the enemy. It's normal. One thing we need to know as Christians is that it's always very difficult to break into already established systems, whether it be spiritual or physical. It's very hard to break into systems. So sometimes you're going to have to wait your turn where the system will break for you. All right. But while you're at that, give your best to help them grow. Look, people know when people are better than them. People know when people are giving them good ideas. But sometimes protocols, right? Sometimes protocol. So respect the protocol, but don't change. Do what you have to do and do it with all levels of respect to whoever is leading you. Make sure you have people become your friends instead of them looking at you as enemies. And like you said, they don't like you for it. They hate you for it. You don't want people to hate you because two cannot work. It's the first thing I said, right? Two cannot work together unless they agree. So try to work. Yeah, you've tried to make suggestions. It didn't work. Maybe there is a reason in their own suggestion. So try it out. See how it goes. One day it's going to turn in your favor. Okay. So basically, I think that's basically it. That should help. Okay. Thank you.
It's been awesome having you. Like, it's been full of so much knowledge. We appreciate it.
Thank God. Thank God. Thank you guys for having me. It really means a lot. I really appreciate the fact that you guys asked me to do this. I know where to start, man. Thank you so much. I'm glad I was able to share the little I know. I'm grateful. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. And to everyone that have been, been with us since the beginning of this training, I'm just here to say thank you. And okay, so we're going to call it a day. Do not forget, next week it will be about songwriting, and it's going to be so much fun. Okay, to teach about it. Okay, songs and then how to write songs. Okay, so till we come your way again next week. God bless you. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.